Okay.
There you go.
Carol.
Hey. Okay, so we missed those two comments, but
Well, they weren't really about bones, so
anyway, I see Mary has her hand raised, and we do have a couple of questions in the chat that once we get through Mary's, I'll go back and ask for you to respond to as well, Elizabeth.
Okay, a few, maybe I hope simpler type of things. The places where you're talking about where you can get the products, I'd be interested because I didn't recognize the name, and on the coast here, I don't.
okay. I can email you that, Mary.
Okay, and another question, where or does olive oil fit into the oils? Is that
Highly recommended olive oil, highly recommended, good quality olive oil.
yeah, I mean, like cold, I usually get organic cold press or whatever.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, okay.
And, you have to, one way of testing if it's a good quality one is if you put it in the fridge and it solidifies, then it's good. Sometimes they'll lace they say it's olive oil, but they'll thin it out with some other oils to make it less expensive to make.
Okay. Braga is usually what I get. That's a pretty big.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'd have to try it with that.
Yeah, try. But if it's a cold pressed and the reputable,
yeah, I always do. I never buy I always just buy whatever I think is the very best. And the strips, the saliva strips, I went in to get those, and I all they had were ones for urine.
If you go to PharmaSave, they should have them because I worked there,
okay.
and I used to bring them in for people there.
Okay.
And go to a health food store; they might have them as well.
Yeah, they not anymore. I've been okay, but I never thought of PharmaSave. I should have because so I'll try. Okay.
Yep, and outside the chat, if you scroll up into the chat, Mary, I also put one on a link to one that's on Amazon that I have used in the past myself.
Okay.
Carol, can you type chandika.com into the chat so people know where to get some of these things?
Sure. Or Elizabeth, do you have your link, your personal link?
Oh gosh, that's for me.
Oh,
okay,
let's do this. Yeah, because I would like them to have that personal link on your behalf. We can definitely, when we send out the recording, add that as part of that.
Okay, because for me to go to Chandika now and try and
yeah, totally hear you.
But I'm not that fast.
Yep. So yeah, we can do that and even link to some of the specific products that were discussed today too that are related to bone health, or the Tulsi.
I might be able to put it, I should have put it in the ebook, but I was trying to keep the ebook a little bit more generic and not to look like I was marketing things too much. I wanted people to have that, but yes, that was good advice. Thank you. So we're good.
Oh, I take my hand down.
I have a question.
Yada.
Yes, Jada. Hello.
Jada.
Does anyone take Amrit? Anyone on the line take Amrit?
Amrit Kailash from
yes,
from the TM from MAPI, I think.
Yeah, but I think Sandra has it as well. Maybe don't call it Amrit. They call it something else.
Yeah, well, that herbal paste has quite a history and quite a story.
They have it in the tablets too, so yeah.
Wonderful.
Do you recommend it?
Sure. I mean, yeah, it helps all kinds of what's the paste called, Carol? It's Chandi makes the paste as well.
Goodness. I was just looking on their website here too.
Yeah, I just know the story. It was this formula was written on a leaf someplace, and it's supposed to build the immune system and support all kind of bodily functions. The only thing I would say,
is this like Chyawanprash?
Chyawanprash. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
like anything, you have to see where you are and what you're taking and how much your body can handle, all of that. You know, if
Yeah.
you're, it's not always so simple because the more you load on to your body to metabolize and assimilate, but it's a wonderful product, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Yeah, the nice thing, Chyawanprash, if that's the Amrit, and I'm just, you know, sometimes they're named one thing in one brand and something else and marketed as another product under another brand. The Chyawanprash from Chandika, there is a traditional formula and there's also a sugar-free formula. That's a syrup. Okay.
so
Let me go back up. I had some questions that came through. Let me just scroll back up because
the chat,
we did get to. Let's see. Lesta asked about Dextabone scan, the Dexabone scan, and if this was the best bone test available, and is it reliable as an indicator of your risk of breaking your bones?
I have had a DEXA scan many years ago. Some people say it's a great test. It depends. Some of the alternative people saying that it might not really tell you very much. So, but that is the kind of scan that is mostly recommended by physicians for bone density.
Okay. Right. Let's see. Julie also had a question about her nails being quite soft and always have been. Does this reflect bone health? So what's the connection between the nails and the bones?
Well, I know hair is a byproduct of uh, is the mala of bone. I can't remember.
Yeah, the nails also are.
Okay.
We call them upadatus or post-digestive tissue from the bone. So yes, like if your bones are soft or brittle, peel, things like that, that can be a sign that there is something going on at that level of nutrient transformation, and even post-transformation from the bone to the next level of tissue. So the why behind that, I think that's always one of those great time to have a conversation with Elizabeth to get to the real why behind it, because everyone's can be different.
Yeah, and I should make it very clear that my experience has been more in prevention of osteo. And if you already have osteoporosis, what I would recommend is going to Dr. Teitelbaum. And I'm happy to prepare people, you know, teach them a lot of the things. Like the one lady, I think it was Ruth, said that she had been going to talk to Dr. Teitelbaum for a long time, and that, you know, she was somewhat disappointed. And part of it is that how much of you are you really integrating into your life on a daily basis? That's why I said, let's look at 7 habits. If you could do these 7 things, and also have a regular routine, you know, are you getting up on time, having some exercise? Are you doing your stewed apples? That's, you know, a common recommendation. All of those things take discipline and take time. I remember when I first started doing this, I was looking at, you know, buying certain high quality milk. And I thought, oh, wow, that's way too expensive. And when I calculated it out, it was pennies. And so, you know, we have these preconceived ideas. But I think the most important thing is what can you get in your routine? If it's not in your routine, it's not going to make, it won't make a difference. If you only take magnesium once a month, if you only hydrate your body on occasion, if, you know, if you're not eating well, all of those things, it takes time to develop the discipline to make it, and you're worth it. You're worth taking the time. It's sort of, I guess that's why I did it. And like, let's do 7 things. And then if you can do these 7 things, you're on a big roll. And then you can go to a practitioner and say, I'm doing all these things, but I'm still feeling some heaviness in my liver, or I'm still not sleeping well, or maybe, okay, then, they can do something. But, if you're sporadic, and I think the biggest challenge that I see is people getting pulled into supplements. The biggest challenge is, oh gosh, I saw that on Facebook, or my friend told me about this great supplement. It's great for the eyes, or it's this, and then they take that, and it's just and I've been there. I understand that. Oh my God, that sounds so fantastic. And even Dr. Marianne Teitelbaum confessed that she did that once, and then she got terrible things happen. So I think, eating well, hydrating. We know magnesium is essential. We know it's very relaxing, very supportive to the heart. We know what kind of calcium not to take, because it can affect the heart. There was somebody who spoke here about how it she now has to have a valve replacement because the calcium affected the muscle in the heart. So all of those things, it's but it's difficult in this society because we're bombarded with information, marketing of different things, and fear is put into our minds that, oh, if we don't do this or we don't take this, um, something terrible is going to happen. And I'm glad that what's her name? Ivy, is that? Yeah, Ivy talked about fear, because if you're starting from there, just think of what it's doing to your body with the fight or flight. If you want to, I was actually, in preparing for today, I was sitting there this kind of skimming through Marianne's book, and I got to the part on the effect of cortisol on the bone. So if you're living in that state where the mind is creating this sense of raising cortisol in your blood, and fight or flight, adrenaline is coming up, and you're in that state, that, I think that is the most important thing to address. Is let's start with that and then add on. That's all I can say. I'm not I'm not, I don't think Vajra wanted to make this complicated. And if it worked for me, I mean, I was there, like literally, it's 20 years ago, where, my mom was lost 4 inches in height. Her bone was crumbling in her back and all that. So I have a genetic predisposition, and I didn't do it all the time, but I did it most of the time. And I can tell, oh, some mornings I wake up, oh, I know I didn't drink enough. I should make some tea today. And oh, let's make some green protein. There's another wonderful, wonderful food that we can talk about, is taking a little bit of homemade paneer or some protein and cooking down some greens like chard or spinach or something. And all these things are there, but it takes time. It takes ability, setting up your kitchen, learning how to make ghee. I'm just curious, how many people take the time to make ghee. And if I'm in a really, there Carol puts up her hand, and there you go.
Not always, because it's a matter of how much time do I have. Yeah.
And then there's the wonderful ghee that you make from whipping cream. Every once in a while I go to
Usually
the
what I do.
store,
Yeah.
I get a liter of whipping cream, and I put my yogurt starter in there, and I put it overnight, and I make yogurt from whipping cream. The next day I get out my Cuisinart and I make butter from it. And then I take that butter I squeeze all the water out of it. And it's, after a while, it's like a spiritual process for me now, I just love doing it. And then I put the butter in the pot and I make ghee from that. And all that liquid that came off, it's full of the best probiotics. And we didn't even talk about the microbiome of the gut, how important it is to all kinds of digestive issues. And this is not only in Ayurveda. I mean, people are now selling all kinds of probiotics, but the best probiotic is the one that is the most alive, that you've made right from
Yep,
scratch.
that natural buttermilk from that separated cultured cream. Best probiotic I've ever used. Absolutely.
Anyway,
Just
so if there are,
yeah, there's definitely more questions in the chat here. There's been a question about the signs of hot liver. What are the signs of a hot liver?
oh, I guess the biggest one would be where you would feel like a fullness, or if you press under your, I'm just trying to show you, if you press under your ribs there, you feel a kind of heaviness.
Even
Constipation, if the bile's not being produced and you don't have motility, because when the liver is healthy and producing the right amount of bile, and the bile comes squirting out into the intestines, it creates peristalsis. And so then the intestines move and move the food down the gut and all the way through. Oh gosh, what other signs of a hot liver? I would say allergies. Allergies would be another sign of a hot liver. Mary, please
Anger.
jump in and help me.
Anger definitely can be there emotionally. You can
Oh,
feel
yeah.
like you had a hot liver.
Yeah, emotional heat that way. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
If your
remember,
pH is low, or if your pH level is low, like you're acidic, if it's under that 7.5 range, that can be a,
Rashes on the skin?
yep, even the skin can have a redness, a ruddiness to it, rashes, things of that nature.
yeah.
Yeah, all are different, like, those can all be different grades of like how much either heat is in the liver, how much detoxification is coming out of the liver.
I think the biggest thing for me is seeing allergies. Allergies. So many people have food allergies now. That would be a sign. I know my son always complains whenever he gets hives or he gets something like that, and I always tell him, "Oh, your liver." He's a pitta. Your liver is getting hot, and he said, "Oh, Mom, I don't want to hear that." So, that's what I always relate to hot liver. Yeah.
Yep, and then based on that, there is definitely some interest in a hot liver strategy session. So you have your next topic, Elizabeth.
Well, I put it. I mean, they're the first thing that Marianne, when I had my hot liver, she put me on Bumi Amla. That's the glyceride that I see her put many, many people on, that cools the liver. And then after that, another one. But the liver clay, one thing I know for sure, a lot of people use milk thistle for the liver. And that herb is most well known in the Western herbal medicine for detoxing the liver. And but what I know it does, it squeezes the liver too hard, and
Yes.
it makes it very, very detox too quickly. And see, that the most important thing is if you're going to start detoxing the liver or detoxing the body, you don't want the toxins just to go into the blood and then into a joint or into the brain or into the heart or something. You want them to go out through the urine and through the bowels or out through the skin. So that would be an important thing to know, that,
Milk thistle. That's the one. Milk thistle is the one that often, I always think of like when
What
you're
did I
detoxing
say?
your liver, it's like you're taking a rag and squeezing the water out of it, and you're doing the
I
same thing with your liver. Thistle.
Milk thistle, didn't I say
Mhm.
that?
I might have missed it thinking about and looking for it.
Okay. Okay, is there another question, Carol?
Yes. Let's see. Where did I leave off? Okay. Signs of a hot liver. Oh, bone herb. The bone herb.
Yeah, it's available through the same company. That's all I know. There
Yeah.
are,
That one's really good for like broken bones or fractures. It's actually a plant. It's not a calcium based or like bone or calcium based product that way, or animal based product. It's actually a plant. So that one, yes.
What's the name of it?
it's, here, let
It's-
me scroll down.
Yep.
I know it can be bought as under the name bone herb, from Chandi, but the chemical name or the Latin name is here. It's,
There it is. I just put it in the chat there too. Cissus quadra angularis.
yeah,
Angularis.
yeah, Chondrogularis, Cissus chondrogularis, yeah.
Thank you. Yes, late in the day.
And
Let's see.
also, it depends on the condition of your liver, whether you would be taking it as a herbal tea or as a glyceride. And I think I don't know if I emphasized it enough that when Vijay first started working with people in the West, just a second, gosh, there. All the things he did in India didn't work because in India, almost everybody eats turmeric. And turmeric is one of the best herbs for supporting liver function. And actually, Vajra's son, Surya, wrote one of the book on a whole little book on turmeric. I actually still have it on my bookshelf. Because he said, how come when they moved from India to North America, none of the food is yellow? Your food isn't yellow. And so he realized the importance and the benefits of turmeric. But if you haven't been growing up with turmeric and eating turmeric all the time, and you take a huge amount of turmeric, it will not be fun for you because it'll cause all kinds of problems. So you start with a little bit. You start with an eighth of a teaspoon, a quarter teaspoon, and build up. So I think it's important to know that, the herbs you use, the way you cook your food and all of that, then determines whether you're going to use a herb or a glyceride. So this is where I was going. So if you are someone who has not cooked with turmeric or a lot of the spices and hasn't, your liver is hot, let's say, and you take some of these herbs, and I'm horrified. Sometimes I see people saying, oh, turmeric with black peppers better absorbed. Oh my God, that would be the worst thing to do because both those are heating. Both those are hot. And then let's throw in a little ginger. That's also hot. So what did Vajra do? He took turmeric with coriander and fennel. He made what he called a spice mix, his basic spice mix. And then he also sells products that you can cook with. So I think that is something that you can incorporate that I didn't talk about in the little book, is that there are things you can do with the food that you eat. I make my spice mix, keep it in a jar, and I put a teaspoon in it every time I cook some veggies or beans or whatever I'm cooking. So I'm consistently getting coriander, fennel, turmeric, cumin. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of fenugreek in there, and then your practitioner can look at what's happening and say, oh, well, maybe we need to have a little bit of this or a little bit of that. And it's something, and I keep saying this over and over, consistent every day, not every day, often. And then little by little, your body and your liver can adapt and take the food you eat and make it into intelligent blood. And, yeah. Oh, who's this lovely lady with her hand up? Marianne Beckman something.
Miss Berman, come on in.
Oh, hi, Carol. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for doing this. I just wanted to say too, I'm an Ayurveda health counselor and I also teach yoga. And sometimes I think, people assume that I've had the best health my whole entire life when, I found Ayurveda to basically help myself, right? And I just wanted to say that I do the best I can. But when it comes to bone health, I had a major scare. So having, hurt my knee 2 years ago, and while recovering from my knee issue, I ended up falling on a gymnasium floor in a school, and they considered it traumatic fall, figuring, oh, you're fine. But I couldn't walk. I mean, I came in on a walker, and the doctor, sent me for the MRI, and I did have a partial fracture of my femoral neck. And, believe it or not, the school gymnasium actually got a new floor over the summer. So perhaps I wasn't the only one and I fell in such a way. But nonetheless, that was a wake-up call, because, I went to the doctor. Nobody assumes that I may have weak bones. And I asked my regular doctor, I went and said, can I get a DEXA score? Can I get a scan? So at 53 years old, even the technologists figured, oh, you look good. Everyone says that until they measure it. And then I got the score, and sure, my low back is fine, but my hip, where we are as women vulnerable after menopause, especially that femoral neck, it did show I have osteopenia. So, I'm grateful for having this knowledge now, because, I would like another scan and do even more. Just simply not walking enough the past 2 years, I think, and on top of menopause, put me in that extremely vulnerable category. But like you said, one of the things I did was, I know it's my vata. I made sure I worked at a school. It was not about the money, but just to make sure that I could wake up every morning. I took a job at the local school so I could help the children, and I had to be there at 6:45 a.m. till 9 a.m. every morning. So it forced me to make sure I was up, meditate, my goodness, have a bowel movement before I go. So all I can say is, I'm on that path with you. Thank you so much for having this, because this is so timely, but it is a wake-up call, because I know where I'm at compared to all of my other, say, peers, people that I grew up with, my grade school friends, my college friends in the same age bracket. And if this is happening to me, I mean, we're being poisoned everywhere. It's others. Because if you see how I live, having the knowledge of Ayurveda compared to others, we all need to just kind of do what we can to help others. So I want to ask, I haven't heard anything about Panchakarma. So one of the big things I took to this year was I committed to doing 3 cleanses. I did a winter cleanse, a spring cleanse, and I know I need to do a fall cleanse to get this pitta out. How do you feel about these cleanses?
Well, I can tell you what Advisor told us about Panchakarma, in terms of doing that kind of cleanse. It's best if your body is alkaline, because if you start moving out very acidic toxins, they can actually burn and cause inflammation and damage. So normally what I would recommend in terms of cleansing is taking at least 1 day a week off. A day where you're not doing anything. We do teach a detox program through Dr. Teitelbaum, through Dr. Tekorian, through Chandika, spring and fall during the equinox time. And those protocols are done very gently. You have to be very careful that the toxins don't just go into another tissue when you're moving them out. So it's a big topic. If you are interested, there is a detox course, I think, coming up this fall. I think it's usually in.
Yeah,
No.
actually, I can speak to that part too. Yeah, the fall detox is going to be on hold this year because it's being revamped to break it into more of like a educational part at the beginning and then the detox as a second layer of the course. And so we're going to take a pause in fall unless you've done the detox before, and then us educators will guide people through
What
their
we've done before.
but
So
we're not doing a whole course on it through this because it gives you a lot of that SVA knowledge. One thing I can say, I actually just did Panchakarma, but I did it with a very strong SVA lens to it. Because one thing I've personally experienced, and many people may too, high pitta in more traditional Ayurveda is seen as just that, where in the SVA lineage, sometimes that high pitta isn't just high pitta or that dosha being moved out of balance. It's actually ama that has been vitiated or turned very hot and toxic, such as if it's environmental toxins, and it gets confused as high pitta. So what ends up happening, unless you're following more the SPA protocols, you treat for this high pitta, but you're not doing anything to capture and bind those toxins that it really is. It's a form of ama and guide that out of the body. So when I did my panchakarma, I had all sorts of that ama, that high pitta characteristic ama coming out. But I was doing my own cooking. So I knew from that SVA lineage, like, oh, I've got to add some more binding foods and I have to do this and do that to help capture those toxins, not just cool things down. That doesn't capture it and get it out. And that's one of the big things. I think that's probably what Vaiji even saw with a lot of people going through Panchakarma, is that alignment of pitta and amavisha or garavisha, or vitiated, internal and external toxins, and people going into detox crisis.
yeah, that's what I heard him say, that he would have to fix it after they came out of Panchakarma. One simple thing that, again, if you do routinely, which I try to do, I don't do it every week, is take a day of rest. Almost all spiritual practices have a day of rest in them. And if you apply that to your Ayurvedic practice, on that day, you eat very light. The night before, you eat a light soup rather than a heavier meal. And then you just take a day, and that day you'll just eat like a mono diet, like a khichdi or something, and no salt, because salt holds things in your body. So if you have 1 day a week where you eliminate salt, take some extra triphala. Some of you who don't know what triphala is, it's 3 fruits. That's one of the most popular herbs in Ayurveda that helps eliminate things through the colon. So then you'll have 1 or 2 or 3 bowel movements the next day. Rest, don't do any electronics, get away from your cell phone, from your computer, all of that. Go for walks, rest 1 day a week. And then the other 6 days, go crazy if you want. But that way you will then not build up this toxin, so you need panchakarma 3 times a year or 4 times a year. And also, the other thing I know for sure is that if you're blood is more alkaline. If you're testing more alkaline, then the toxins will not be as damaging as they're moving out. So the testing of the pH is very, very helpful. If especially, I've for a fact heard advisors say, you know, if you're going to go on panchakarma, be sure you're alkalizing your body, and that has to do with keeping your liver more cool and getting your bile flowing. There's a great chapter, chapter 6 in Dr. Teitelbaum's book on thyroid that talks about gallbladder sludge. And boy, I think we all need to read that once a week to keep our liver. So there's all kinds of things we can do. But one of the reasons I think this kind of gathering is important is we might know all this, you know, Carol and I and Murray and a lot of us who are practitioners know a lot of things, but sometimes we need support to implement them into our daily lives. And you know, just we forget or life gets busy and it's not a priority. But I tell you, if you don't have your health, there's nothing else that's important. So it becomes to the top. Okay, it looks like the sun's coming through my skylight right on me. I'm looking very enlightened.
Angelica. Okay, we do have a couple of questions in the chats, and I do see Mary with her hand up too. And I know we're running close to the time you wanted to wrap things up. Mary, do you want to ask your question real quick?
You're muted, Mary.
Oh, are you talking to me?
No, Mary Kenny, who's
Mary, because I didn't raise my hand yet.
Okay, wait a minute. I have it this time. I can actually just put everything together later and email. My question may have been answered in some of the things that were just being said, so I'll take my hand down. You can go on.
okay. Yeah, I
Okay.
think just a couple of more minutes and then I'm getting a little tired.
Okay, so let's talk really quick. Back to like the nail health. There was a question about how manis and pedis can affect the nail health.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Sure, like manicures and pedicures, do they affect your nail health? I mean, my understanding is that prevents the breathability of the nails and the chemicals, of
What do you
course,
mean,
that are.
putting nail polish on your fingers? That
Yes.
was me? Oh, you can go for manicure and pedicure, but don't put any nail polish on your nails. Just have
Yeah.
them, you know, do your feet, massage your feet, whatever they do. But yeah, I haven't used nail polish in years. No, I don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. There's chemicals in them that do get absorbed through the nail bed around them, especially if you're doing like, and then the UV with like the gels that can be harsh on the absorption of that into the skin. And yeah, that breathability that is blocked. You know, I'm a former user of doing like nail polishes and gels and shellacs and, you know, whatever was the trend before I got into a lot of this Ayurveda. And you can tell it affects your nail health. You know,
think
you
that-
take it off and you have to put the stuff back on just because your nails are so weak.
I think that we
Oh,
are
yeah.
so bombarded with chemicals we don't have to add anymore.
Yeah, and then what they use in salons may not be the best products to put on your body, even if you are just going for the massage and the buffing and things like that.
Unless you're living in Santa Barbara and you go to Irina there, I see her on the screen.
Yeah. For the massage. Yeah.
And then she
We don't do nails.
don't do nails.
We don't do nails.
Oh,
We
you have-
massage the feet though with marma therapy, but we don't do nails.
Okay.
Next time we're in town, we're booking all with you.
I even eliminated waxing as a service.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to thank everybody. I'm so thrilled to have how many people we have? 43 people. And
I think we lost a few earlier, so I think we were topping close to 50 there today.
oh, it's wonderful. So I will do my best if people want to email me at info@elizabethinnes.ca. I will try and respond to any questions. If you want to make a have a consultation with me, I would be honored to help you. Besides, I have worked in hospital and community pharmacy and have been working, became a TM teacher in the 70s. That's when I first heard about Ayurveda and took many, many courses. And then when I met Vaija in 2004, I figured I found the real thing. And he said he would make it easy. Well, some of the things are simple, but it's not always easy to incorporate them all into your lives. And that's, I think, what our challenge is now with our busy lives. Thank you everyone for coming. And if you know anybody who needs help with a bone health, and the thing is, you don't know, so you might as well just do it anyway until you break a bone. So yes, thank you again. I'm thrilled for all your interest, and we'll move forward. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Hi.
Sue.